Welcome to the Charleston CFO Council. This organization was co-founded in 2015 by Robert Bendetti and Mark Carmichael in order to provide a networking and educational forum for senior financial executives to share best practices, to discuss current financial issues, and to learn about current topics related to the performance of their job.
Good morning, Theresa Craft. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Robert?
I am doing fantastic, and I'm excited to get to do this interview. Thank you very much.
Sure. I'm looking forward to it.
One thing that I shared before we got started is I have not found much on you, Theresa. You have a low profile in the interwebs, so I'll
Yes.
share what I got. Theresa Craft is the CFO at We Are Sharing Hope, South Carolina, and that's in Charleston, South Carolina. Is that correct?
Yes, we're headquartered here, although we cover the entire state of South Carolina.
And I think it's an organ procurement organization. Is that right?
That's correct. So we handle all of the organ recovery and tissue recovery that happens in the state. We handle, coordinate, facilitate, all of that. We cover the entire state except for Aiken and Edgefield County. Like I said, we're headquartered here in Charleston, been around since the mid-'80s. And I've been CFO there for about 10 years.
Well, what a blessing. My father-in-law had a genetic liver condition and was a transplant recipient and got a new lease on life for an additional 10 years. And he did what you'd hope somebody who got an additional 10 years would do. He volunteered in the community and traveled and spoiled his grandkids. It was awesome. He really sucked the marrow out of life, if you will. And so thank you for your organization and the rest of the organizations out there that do what you do. And Theresa, it looked like you have had a long career in nonprofit organizations serving your community. I think you got your undergraduate in business administration and accounting from USC. Is that correct?
I did indeed. Yes, I'm a Gamecock.
And a certified public accountant.
Yes, I spent the first 5 years of my career after I graduated in public accounting, working for a smaller mid-size accounting CPA firm here in Charleston, downtown on East Bay Street. And I did that for 5 years, and most of the clients that I worked on were nonprofit and healthcare. So when I decided to leave public accounting, that was kind of the natural pathway, was to stay in those two industries. So that's what we do now. We Are Sharing Hope is a nonprofit as well. So I've been doing this now for, I'm going to show my age now, but about 30 years.
Well, let's get into it. Question number one, what is your favorite business book and why?
Okay, so I like Patrick Lencioni. I like all of his books. I'm sure a lot of people have mentioned the 5 Dysfunctions, but I actually like one of his other books the most, and it's called The Ideal Team Player. I'd hold it up, but I don't have it around me right now, but it's The Ideal Team Player, and he focuses on 3 points: being humble, being hungry, and being smart. So being humble, of course, is more about being focused on the team as opposed to the individual player, and being hungry is being, really willing to go over and beyond what the average person is wanting to do. You're really kind of focused on your career and being productive. And then smart is not so much intelligence as it is being people smart. Really working those interpersonal relationships. We have to work together as a team a lot in our work environment. And so, yeah, those are the 3 that he focuses on: humble, hungry, and smart. And one of the main point that jumps out to me is the humble part. C.S. Lewis has a quote, if I can say it right, sometimes I get it mixed up, but true humility is not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less. And I've always just loved that quote. So that's one reason that focuses out on me, because as you're moving up in your professional life, I think, we can kind of get a little ahead of ourselves. Ego can tend to kind of come into play as you're climbing that corporate ladder. And so I think it's always important to kind of stay humble and really collaborate with your group.
Theresa, to build up on that, great quote from C.S. Lewis. What's the best advice that you have ever received?
Okay, so this is one from my dad, and it's kind of a strange one, but I'll explain it. My dad was quite a character. He was actually a kidney transplant recipient many years ago, back in 1989, I believe, and he's been gone since 1998. But he told me one time that the sun doesn't shine on the same monkey's butt every day. Okay. Again, he was a character, but he didn't actually make that up. I think it was a Major League Baseball player that said that quote many, many years ago, except it was a dog's tail. And my dad kind of put his spin on it and made it a monkey instead. So, but I guess really what his point was, is sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you really have to, kind of roll with the punches. So I think that has been very helpful, my professional as well as my personal life.
I love dad quotes. Those are the best.
I know, they're funny. I think I was actually drinking something at the time and he made me spit out my drink. Yeah.
That's a pro move from a dad. He planned that. He waited till you got something to drink, took a sip, and then hit you with that quote.
Yes, exactly.
What about a new tool that you've recently started using or a new habit?
Okay, so I have this tool called The Remarkable. I literally just got this in January. Have you heard of this? Okay, so it's a tablet. It's kind of like an e-reader. I'm kind of showing it here, except that, and it looks like it. It feels like an e-reader when you read it, so it's not hard on your eyes, but you can write on it. And I don't know if you can see that. And it sounds and feels like you're writing on paper. So I've had a hard time trying to figure out, I'm not the most technology savvy person, but I do stay on top of, I have iPads and other tablets that I've tried. And in trying to figure out the best way to go completely paperless in taking notes at meetings and things like that, I've had a hard time figuring it out. I still was taking my legal pad because I just like writing instead of typing, especially in the middle of a meeting. Because then people feel like you're more engaged. If you're on an iPad or your laptop, people may think you're checking your email or something as opposed to taking notes. So I came across this thing and it's working great. You can move files over, you can move PDFs over, and actually, so I move contracts over and make my little changes using my pen, and then I can move it back over to my folder on my network at work, and it's working really well. You can write it out and then you can convert it to text if you want to. If your handwriting's not great, it will convert that. So yeah, it's been a great tool.
That's really cool. And it's called The Remarkable?
The Remarkable. I have the Remarkable 2 version that just came out a few months ago. And yeah, it's working great for me.
All right, I'm definitely checking that out. Very well done. Theresa's bringing it today.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
Question number 4, what's the best part of your current job?
The organ procurement industry, as you might imagine, we're very heavily regulated. And I've moved around every few years in my career because I had a tendency to kind of, I need challenges. I need a lot of challenges, and I don't like to get bored. I've been at We Are Sharing Hope, South Carolina for 10 years, and it's because the industry is always changing. We're always being challenged, and that's what really keeps me engaged and enjoying my job so much. And I have that personal connection with our mission, with my dad having a kidney transplant, and I have some other family members who've have the same kidney disease and may possibly need a transplant later on. So.
Well, that's a blessing that you and the rest of your team is serving your community like that. So thank you. And Theresa, I wasn't able to find anything interesting on the interwebs, but is there something you would be willing to share personal about yourself?
Yeah, so I guess besides organ and tissue donation, the other kind of causes that I'm passionate about is adoption and autism. So I have a 14-year-old son. His name is Cameron, and he is on the autism spectrum. He's nonverbal, so he's severely affected. He's coming along though and doing really well right now. But so I'm very passionate about autism causes, obviously. And he was born in Kazakhstan. So, which, if you're not familiar with that country, it's a pretty large country in Central Asia, south of Russia and west of China. So his semi is right on the Russian border, and so he's ethnically Russian. And he was 9 months old when I brought him home. So that's something I'm also passionate about, is adopting children in need. So. And besides all of that, I like to read and I like to travel.
Very cool. Theresa, what about something that I should have asked that I didn't ask? And what is your answer to that?
Well, I guess the only other question I could think about is what I might be doing if I was not in accounting or finance. And honestly, I learned to scuba dive I guess it was about 20 years ago. And I really, really enjoy it. I have a very, with my son's diagnosis and my job, and I'm also a single parent, so it can be very stressful. And once I got into scuba diving, it's very relaxing. Believe it or not, if you're not scared of the water and scared to have your head under the water, I know some people are. If you're not, it's very relaxing. I find it. So I would probably be in the Caribbean somewhere, like a dive master on a boat. I think that would be a good environment for my son because it's just very laid back. That's probably what I would be doing if I was not a bean counter.
Every time I snorkel, and I'm not cool enough to scuba dive, but I snorkel, I'm just thinking, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me.
Right.
While I'm under there. But boy,
Right.
that does sound cool, the life of a dive master in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I mean, because you just take tourists down, they're on vacation, they're happy, they're fun. You get to go down there and show them there's so much to see, at 60, 100 feet, things that you don't get to see you see a lot when you snorkel, but when you really are able to kind of go down in the depth a little bit, you see all kinds of fun, interesting things. So.
Well, Theresa, this was fantastic, and I noticed a theme, and it started off with the book and the quote, and it's around serving others and thinking of others before yourself. And you walk the walk. I see it in your actions personally and professionally, and just appreciate and am thankful that you're in the community serving others. And thank you very much for taking the time to share all this with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time.
Have a great day.
Okay, thanks.